Okay, welcome everyone. It's March 31st, and we are resuming the Legend in the Mist, our awesome Legend in the Mist group that is playing in the Dales. This is beyond Raven's home or whatever the title is, and they're having a blast. Last week was down a couple of players, and they chose to play anyway. So we took care of those other two ne'er-do-wells for the session, and we'll introduce them back in near the beginning of this session. Meanwhile, Jared will be doing our recap for an experience point. Go ahead,
All right.
Jared. Take it away.
Okay, so we start off entering the woods. They were foreboding, and again, down a couple of players, but we pressed on. We went further in. We started to encounter strange noises, sounds, visuals. At one point, Maya had actually discovered that there was a hollowed out tree with sort of game plan for a theatrical performance in the woods. So we tried to actually ascertain and figure out whether or not this was all staged, which we did kind of come to the conclusion as we ran into the bandits in their full regalia and outfit. It actually started um, a fight. They captured two of our colleagues, took them away, and when we ran into them, we fought. Fortunately, we were able to get the upper hand up until the point that something or someone interfered and made the bandits disappear and run away. Now, Maya and I continued to press on, feeling that it was a strange being, for lack of a better word. It was I wouldn't say necessarily a creature because it showed some sort of sentient consciousness, but it was very hard to communicate with it. It appeared we did not engage it. It didn't see us as hostile at the moment. I'm not sure if it will continue to do so. And while we struggled to put the piece back because apparently wear and tear on the monolith had actually made it a little difficult to do so, we ended the game with us there, the creature having departed, and trying to figure out what our next steps would be.
Indeed. So you arrived. Do you want to add anything, Maya? Details that you want to insert? Jared, you took the bulk of it, so go ahead and mark one experience on one of your themes.
Roger that.
Yeah, I think I would just say that it seemed like there was a pretty clear divide in the phenomena that we saw both in the forest and at the village that seemed to be split between sort of the fake, showy, um, charlatan-esque characters, the oh gosh, something maw, hollow maw,
Hmm.
and then the actual watcher that we encountered right at the end. So there seemed to be sort of a some of what we had been seeing both before and after was fake or fake-ish, and some of it seemed to be truly part of the forest.
Okay, very good. And so when we last left off, this creature disappeared when you started to walk toward it. It kind of just like whisked away as if a sudden wind came by and blew all of its molecules aside, and it vanished. Now, this leaves you somewhat alone here with this giant monolith. So now we will cut to a different place, still in the old glade, still darkened by the thick canopy of old trees trying to capture as much sun as they possibly can, fighting each other for the sky. The um, the scene below has a campfire that has burnt to ashes, but still cinders sparkle like a miniature sky of its own, wisps of smoke still carrying their way up through the branches. To one side of the fire, an elaborate tent with some furs and little banners and ribbons across the front of it as if they were trophies signifying the this tent is better than the others. And on the other side, 3 or 4 more tents encircle this campfire. Much more humble. One of them not even set up very well. It's the top is missing a pole, so it sags in the middle of the tent, and a few of the ropes that lead to spikes hammered into the ground to keep the tent taut were put into moist ground without being too deep, and so some of the walls on that tent sag too. These are very plain tents, weather worn, perhaps even secondhand in nature. Between 2 of the tents, set a little bit further back from the fire, hangs a net strung up from a thick tree branch. And inside the net, upside down, is one of our heroes. And that would be Ashrin, who has been in and out of consciousness due to some strange dust that was blown in her face when she was abducted and brought here and just hung up by the same net which abducted her, and just strung up without so much as a care for her orientation, etc. Her eyes start to flicker open and her nose twitches with some remnants of this dust that's still left behind. Across from her is a pit, uh, say about 10-15 feet away, also between some of the tents. And this pit is covered with a cross hatching of smaller but sturdy branches held in place by 2 logs on either side of each other, so that one log could be rolled aside and the cross hatching might be flipped up. But the weight of both logs is significant. And the pit, which has filled with water to a few feet deep, is about 10 feet down. It's a pretty deep pit. Someone spent a fair amount of time digging this, and especially with the roots that had to be chopped away initially and further down as well. So down in the water is Chewbacca, who is also coming around, the effects of the powder that was blown in his face also wearing off by now. He looks up and can see only the dark green sunlight getting trapped in the branches above, with small streams of hazy light making its way through. Chewbacca, what do you do at the bottom of this pit?
Does everybody taste my shoe in their mouth?
It could taste like that very well, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like waking up in strange places. Did anybody see what?
Ashton's used to waking up in strange places, but it's usually of her own volition.
Exactly. All right. So while you're down there trying to figure some things out, Ashrin, tell me about what you do as your eyes open up. Your head hurts. You've been upside down too long.
Well, she's very confused, and as usual, her curiosity can be a double-edged sword. So she's, she should be thinking about her safety and everything, but right now she's wondering, what was that dust? Where is she? Where is this place? Who are these people? Like, she just has a million questions running through her head right now, and so she's kind of in a daze, of her own making. But she's gonna try to piece together some clues, kind of study all the visual clues around her of markings on the tents, see if she can hear people if they're talking, something like
Sure.
that.
Go ahead and let's make a roll. It can be just a
Just a quick or something.
just a quick outcome. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Seven is enough to succeed. You surmise that you have been captured by some kind of a hunting party of some sort. One of the clues that you pick up is a skull head or two that are kind of hanging on tent pole corners, and so it looks like this might be a hunting party, and they may have you as their next meal.
Not good. Does she notice? Can she see Chewbacca in the pit, or is it too far away? Kind of.
He's too far down, but you can make out that there is a pit covered with, wooden
Okay.
bars, if you will.
She doesn't see any of the hunters, though.
No.
Are there any other people hanging up like her or anything? Any other victims, I guess?
Nope, you're
Okay.
the only one.
Well then, yeah, I guess she'll worry about trying to free herself. Currently, the spell that she's got kind of most recently used. She's got a good vivid mental image of is the mage fire she casted previously. So I think she's gonna try to create some mage fire on her net. See if that can burn her, just at the top or whatever, so that it just kind of drops her to the ground.
As you begin to weave your fire, you hear thump 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 thump. It sounds like something is coming toward the camp through the woods.
Like something
Large?
large?
At a rapid pace. No, probably not too big, and it sounds bipedal. Not an animal.
Does it sound with boots?
But yeah, could be. Boots on the ground.
She'll I guess she'll quit her spell real quick and try to pretend to be unconscious still.
Chewbacca, you can kind of hear that sound from up above as well, from you being down in this pit.
I guess I turn towards that direction. Is there any like rocks or anything I can use as a weapon?
Well, the pit has a lot of mud in it. You might be able to, like, maybe feel around the pit walls to see if you can find a rock.
Or maybe a root or something.
Yeah, maybe there's something that you can pull off or something. They just hack through some of the roots. Maybe you could pull a root out and use it like a floppy branch.
Okay. And how does that go?
Okay, so I want you to give me some tags in a roll. You can just do a quick outcome. Tags in a roll that will be directly related to the action of finding a weapon. And with the results, maybe you'll be able to create a tag represent. If it doesn't work and you end up failing, you may cave the walls in on you some more or something, which sounds
Yeah.
totally
I,
fun.
like the only thing I can think of is mercenary fighter.
Mercenary fighter.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe looking for just improvised weapons. I'm cool with that. Go ahead and roll with that tag.
Quick outcome.
Yep, quick outcome. We're just looking for success.
Okay, it's waiting for MC.
Okay, go ahead. Oh, I need to approve it. Then I'll go. Go ahead. All right, so you managed to grab onto this big piece of root. You're like, aha, this'll maybe not be like sturdy, but and it just pulls a little network of roots and just brings like a big chunk of the wall in on you, which is not wall, it's just rock and mud, and it just traps you. So now that you are buried one, I'm going to give you a little status of buried one. I'm going to bring you out onto the board so we can apply a status to you. Actually, I could probably do it from your actors tab. Actors. This will act against you moving forward until you get unburied, until you do something about it. All right.
I was hoping it would hide me.
Yeah, hide you. Well, it does have. You could use that as an advantage if you needed to hide. Like you could duck under some of this pile if someone comes to the top of the pit and make it look like you aren't there. Okay. All right. So, Ashwin, you see a man with tattered and shredded robes flapping in the wind behind him as he enters the campsite. He is normally would be seen perhaps with the hood over his head, or not. He's got it on his robes, and some kind of a mask that is now moved up to the top of his head that would look like this other skeletal-like face. His hair is kind of gray and straggly, meant perhaps when in full costume to look like some kind of menacing creature. Meeting the description actually of the main character that attacked the man on the road. I will send you kind of what he looks like. Let's see, right click, view character art, show to players. So imagine this person, you can see his picture, right?
Yep.
Okay. So imagine this man having lifted up the mask to the top of his head, his face kind of shattered with fear. He looks like he's already wet his pants a couple of times getting here, in terror.
Can see it. Can see that through the mask.
Right, and he runs into the camp and goes immediately into the tent that has all of the trappings on it that make it look a little special. You hear inside, he's just tossing the tent. He is throwing things around and going through stuff. You can just see the guys just like flipping things over. You can just hear all kinds of things flying around inside that tent. A moment later, he comes out and he is holding a couple of books and some other things, and he has a backpack that he has slung over his left shoulder with just one of the arm straps. And he looks around wildly. What do you do?
Ashern's gullible, so she's gonna call out to him. Sir, I've been captured.
Yes, of course, because we captured you. Now, if you don't mind, I'm on my way. This bloody thing wasn't supposed to be real. It was just supposed to be some stupid story told around campfires. You're on your own.
Please let me go.
No. You can be dinner for that thing. I'm out of here. And he literally just starts running off into the forest.
Okay. Well. That
Dinner for
confuses
what
her.
thing?
But it lets her know that she definitely needs to escape pretty quickly. So yeah, she's gonna focus as best she can on getting out of this net.
Going back to the create fire plan. All right, go ahead and just roll that. I don't need to roll. There's no real uncertainty here, and we're not on a very urgent time frame. So
Okay.
you managed to flick your finger like a bic and light it up and begin to go to work at setting the ropes on fire above you. Now, Smackie, what was Chewbacca saying from the pit before?
You muted?
No, but maybe something's wrong with his mic again. Okay, so you drop with a thud on the ground, kind of on a large root, and roll off onto the ground. That was not comfortable. But in your gullible and heightened mood, knowing that some other creature is coming, you quickly roll to your feet and you look around. So you can see Chewbacca. You've heard him call out from the pit.
Yeah, she'd rush to the side of the pit and see if she can see him.
All right. I think that you'll see him down there. He recognizes you right away. It looked like he was getting ready to duck under some of the root webs that he pulled out, basically. And but
she would call down to him, let her know she's up there.
Yep. All right. So he's down there. He's muddy. What do you do?
she's gonna look around, see if there's like a way to get these bars off of the top, and maybe.
Yeah, if you roll these logs, you just have to kind of either lift
Okay.
it and move it over a little bit, like lift one end and move it, or just try to kick it over the lip of this other grid,
Okay.
and then you can get the log off, and then you can lift it up, and yep, not a problem. It's really difficult, perhaps, to do it from down within the pit, especially if you're trying to like scale the wall or something like that, and then try to get it off.
Especially with all the muddy
Yep.
walls and stuff.
So good pit trap, but not that hard to foil when you're not in it. So you go
Right.
ahead and you get that right open, and how are
then
you going to
she's
get
gonna
them
look.
up and out?
Yeah, she's gonna try to find some rope. It's a campsite with tents and stuff, so there should be some around.
Yeah, sure. So all right, so you grab some rope and you lower it down, and you probably think to secure it on maybe one of those logs or something.
She's
So
not
that,
very heavy herself, so she's not a good anchoring point. So yeah, she
right.
finds something else.
Yep. All right, so Chewbacca, you can climb up and out of the pit. Now, both of you are there. You have a potential threat coming into the camp. You don't see any real sign of it just yet, but that guy ran off like it was on his heels. What do you do?
I wish to remove the tag buried.
Very good. Yep. We'll take that off your sheet. No problem. It has expired. Though we could reserve it for when you start to die. You could be, have 1 foot in the grave with that tag. I'm just kidding. Okay. So very good. You guys are up and out, and what are you going to do now?
Well, if
Hey,
Chewbacca doesn't
thank you
stop
very
her,
much.
Asheron's curiosity is getting the better of her. She wants to go into that guy's tent and see if she can figure out what this thing he was talking about is.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So you go looking around his tent. Chewbacca, are you going to join her, or are you doing something else?
I guess I joined her for the sake of safety.
So you go looking around, and you do find
Yeah,
some
so he took
interesting.
2 books, right?
Yeah, he took a couple books. So you find some other papers that are flying around here and there. Maybe they didn't stay in the book, maybe, or something like that. But it looks like it may have been. It's got some handwriting on there, and it does say. I'm going to go back to where it is. Let's see. It. I have to find it because I want to read it. I wrote it all out nice. Let's see. It is similar to a piece of paper the others found. So let me find it here. It's got a handout. All right. It says at the top, and there are some parts of it that are scribbled out as if he was frustrated with something and rewrote maybe on a different page. But this says the There, of course, it's written in bold ink with dramatic flourishes, and seems to be part of a diary, maybe, or something. It begins with the words "The Hollow Maw Experience," TM. Not sure what that means. Then it says Act 1, The Arrival of Outsiders. And then it says deploy ambient fog, mix with marsh herbs for extra stink. The next line reads echo loops, whispers, howls. Don't forget to reset the crystal frequency every 2 hours. And then bone props to be scattered near the pit. No actual digging required. And then it says something like Act 2, the tension builds. The next line reads, lights behind branches flash intermittently when party investigates deeper. And then embrace improvisation. Stay in characters. Speak only in cryptic warnings. And then in Act 3, the reveal. If they run, success. If not, proceed to fall back, horror illusion. Script on reverse. But there isn't. It doesn't say that. I mean, there is nothing on the reverse of the page. And then remember, no contact. It's all about suggestion.
Well, she'll shove that note in, or page or whatever, in her notebook. But it doesn't really tell her what's coming. But if there's no other clues, yeah, she's just gonna gather up her stuff and tell Chewbacca to lead the way.
I look for something else that I can hit things with.
Okay, why don't you make a roll? This needs to be a tracked outcome. And let's see what else you can do for finding improvised weapons. And then tell me what kind of tag you'll generate as to what you find. You do have the rest of your stuff, though. You were just captured and dumped. So you're intact with your backpack and your tags. So
Okay.
very clearly a rush job. They just apparently were able to conk you out or make you senseless enough to drop you into the pit, right? Get you to the pit and drop you in there and cover it, and then they took off.
Okay, so that roll is irrelevant.
Okay, so you've got what you got. Yep. No problem. All right. You come back out of the tent, and Chewbacca's looking around, making back out of the tent, and Chewbacca's looking around, making sure he's got all of his stuff. What do you do now?
Is there any sign or tracks or anything that could help us find the others?
Good question. The others haven't been to this campsite, which I think Ashrin has now figured out belongs to a group of people that were putting on some kind of a show, probably pretending to be this monster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it sounds like yeah, something's real, and they're not sticking around for it. And she's not a good fighter, so she wants to get out of here.
Okay.
Hopefully, Chewbacca.
Well, hopefully the monster's track will be easy to see.
Well, hopefully we won't see it at all.
But don't you think?
So you have a couple of choices. You can try to follow back the way that dude that ran in here came from, and maybe try to get back in this twisty, curvy forest back to maybe where you were abducted from. and then see if you can find where the others have gone if they're not there. Or maybe you have some other method you can come up with to figure out where they're at.
Uh, I mean, what do you think, Chewbacca?
How many tags do you think you have for this?
Uh, I mean, I can maybe find our path back to where we got captured.
All right. Are there any monster tracks in this place?
Oh yeah, yeah. There are some larger weird tracks. You do find perhaps how the, perhaps how they've been made. There is a set of boots that look like they they have wood planks kind of attached to the bottom of them. And these wood planks then have different kinds of large animal feet made out of like carved from wood to give this kind of a large I can't imagine wearing like Bigfoot impressions on the bottom of your feet to make Bigfoot tracks. This looks like that they've tried to come up with a way to make strange animal tracks by wearing these boots and kind of stomping through the forest to leave bizarre looking tracks like that don't match. Like the animal feet on one boot don't match the animal feet on the other boot, and they're separate or close together way, that like an animal wouldn't do. So you can see this pair of boots discarded off to the side as well. You also find bloody clothing um, that looks um, like someone was killed in it, but then you notice that the blood is not blood. It's actually smells like fruit juice or some kind of strange concoction that kind of smells a little fruity, from the color to put it in there. And so it's just like a costume, like it's got large tears in it, etc., that look like claw marks and whatnot. So you gather that this is maybe some kind of costume that somebody wore to look like they were killed by an animal or a monster of some kind.
Uh, maybe the tracks
Hey,
they made would lead back.
it's all a ruse. They've been pretending to be monsters, sounds like.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
very stuff like blood colored.
yeah. Yeah, like beet, like they put beet juice in something and then made it thick with, you know. So you also find tucked into the lining of the there's a torn coat that is laying there next to the fake bloody shirt, and it says let's see, it's handwritten, it's rough and smudged with a lot of mud. It's crinkled in ways. Looks like it was folded in put inside there to keep for safekeeping, but mud and stuff all over it, and it has small diagrams in the margins, but it says, "Roll the staggering one, mouth of the maw." And then the next line says, "Tone, groaning, pain, dragging voice, make them feel like you're suffering." And then it says, "Lines to use." And then written here and there, "I walked in truth, but now I crawl in hunger." And "Do you carry the mark? Will you feed the hollow?" And "No path leads out, no path leads back." And then it says, "Movement. Limp slowly across the trail. Stagger and vanish into the fog." And then in capital letters, "Do not be touched." And then, "Keep left arm hidden. Use a wrap." There's like doodles in the margins, a poorly drawn skull wearing a scarf, and a note: "Left equals limp, right equals glare. Stay hunched."
I think we've got enough information from here. So yeah, just whatever tracks uh, uh, they were using on the boots. Ashren's going to uh, try to find the direction that they went, or yeah, made with them, the whatever path, and try to use that as a guide back to where they came from.
Okay, cool. All right, so I would like I think a quick outcome. You might get yourself lost in the woods, or
Mhm.
you might find your way back and then maybe begin to track the others.
Yeah. What time of day is it? You said
Hard to tell,
sunlight is.
but it
Yeah.
seems like it's perhaps a couple hours later than when you went into the forest, or maybe an hour later.
Okay. Do you want this?
Just do a quick outcome. We're looking to see if you can succeed or have consequences. All right. So that's a 9. All right. It takes you a while, but you find your way back to about where you got strung up, and you realize that you stepped in some kind of like a covered net that then got pulled up into the sky and quickly um, moved along like a zip line to get you away from everybody else in the trees. And during that process, you hit some kind of a blanket with, you're following it along with your eyes. Now that you see it all, there was a kind of a blanket covered with this powder that as you hit it just went woof, and got all this powder on you. And that's what made you go a little wonky during being disoriented as you got yanked up in the trap. But then you follow along, and there was a scuffle. This is not a recounting like a Prince Humperdinck recounting. You can tell because there's arrows in the tree, and there's uh, blood on the ground here or there where people got hurt. And then you follow along to find yourself going through the forest looking for your friends and finding little hints that they came this way or that, some broken bush branches, things like that, etc. And scuffed and like slides in the mud where they were going down some terrain and they slid a little bit while they were going down. And you eventually come to an opening in this old glade, and you sense that this is the center of the glade. You take a short but well-earned breath as you look up at the sky and see your familiar friend that you haven't seen since you entered the forest. But you also see that there's some kind of a crevasse or small canyon right ahead of you. And vines grow down over the ledges of this crevasse. Roots and vines all go down there. And as you approach the edge, you see in the center a large monolith of stone. And then as you look closer, you see down below, it's about, what did we say, about 50 feet down, 40 or 50 feet down? You see stone flooring, much like you see in this picture now, with your two friends who are kind of looking at this monolith and maybe trying to sort it out.
Well, she'll call out, you know, shout as loud as she can to catch their attention.
Mm-hmm. No problem. Water is
We'll turn around. Yep.
dripping
We'll
here
turn
and
around
there.
as soon as we hear it.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we'll turn around as soon as we hear it. Wave them off. Glad you could join.
You'll need to make your way down, and they can point
Glad
to.
we found you.
What's that?
I'm glad we found you.
Good to be found.
Yeah.
Come on down.
So how'd you guys get down?
I point to the way we came down.
Yep. See that root over there? We climbed down that, and then we grabbed these vines and shimmied over this way, and then we came down here, and then right about there is where you can. And so yeah, so they guide you down real easy. It's the path they took. Maybe you find an even easier way once you come down the way they came, and you're like, oh, and then you just jump over this thing and then go down that way, et cetera, et cetera. So you can climb down the vines that grow down, the roots and vines that grow down from the forest above. There is water
I
that
don't
is
have to roll.
yeah, there is water that is gathered along the bottom of this sunken sanctum, forming a pool around the raised area that is in the middle, wherein the monolith is mounted or stands. The monolith has been chipped away over time, whether through things that fell from above or bad wind. It is not a perfect and fresh piece of stone. It has a lot of things that are broken.
So there are pieces already of the monolith on the floor from natural wear and tear, correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
This piece doesn't necessarily have to be affixed back into it. Is it by proximity? Do we just lay it back here down? I mean,
Yeah.
I look at the rest of the team and I'm like, we tried to put it back on, but we don't have anything to fix it on. It kind of broke off unevenly.
I have mud on my clothes.
Yeah, you've gotten a lot of it off as you've trod through the forest, but yeah, it still makes it a little slippery coming down into the sunken sanctum. But you're good, and at the bottom you may want to just rinse off in the water a little bit. It's definitely green with algae and whatever else, but it may be clean enough that it's okay for you to rinse off in.
So I look at
Marshall Jared is like, that's the only drinking water.
now, we definitely drink it. I look at Ashton and I go, I don't necessarily think that we have to fix it back on. I mean, there are pieces of equal size on the floor or less or crumbles. I take it, right? So wear and tear.
Some, yeah, maybe some were larger, some smaller, some just crumbles that are too big just to be blown away by
It
wind
could
or
be
rain.
as simple as, leaving with it caused the problem. Put it back here, and we may have just met whatever letter of the law this thing has.
So your piece does have some etchings on it. Some are kind of weather worn. And it matches the kind of writing or etchings that are on the main monolith. Maya when she first approached, she tried to find the place where this piece fit. And either nothing seemed to fit exactly, but either she didn't have the right place, or maybe another piece might need to be combined with it. But it does have writing on the, and she was just trying to match it up with maybe where it fits in the etching on the monolith, and wasn't successful.
Right. She had found where it had gone, but there might have been additional pieces that broke off around it that wouldn't be
Right.
needed to create the larger hole. So
Does it
Maya,
look
what
like
do you
it was
think?
deliberately broken off?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I would say that this particular piece that you have looks like it might have been chipped away. You see some additional markings on one edge that looks like maybe somebody possibly, so maybe this hunter like wedged his blade into the stone where it was already starting to crack and tried to get this piece off, right?
So Maya, do you think that with the mud and the grass, we might be able to make some sort of makeshift?
There's also roots there.
We could certainly try. I don't know how well it'll hold up.
We could also take the roots and maybe lasso it, tie it. Makeshift band-aid.
Astrid, what do you think as you approach this monolith with Chewbacca?
I assume all the markings, just like all the ones before, it's very foreign to her and everything. But she does have a good eye for detail. She would ask if the group could basically gather up all the pieces they could find, and maybe if she can see all the pieces and how they all need to fit together, and perhaps even comically get the other three to hold everything kind of in place or whatever for to get a good mental image of what it should look like repaired and everything. Perhaps she could magically mend the monolith. So that's Ashern asking for everyone to perhaps attempt adding a tag to her or something.
Oh,
I'm trying to remember how we did this. Because we're not rolling Hmm.
So yeah, there's two ways to help.
Or if we
is-
wanted to do like a group role.
Mhm.
So are we gonna each roll, or are we gonna combine tags?
You can add a tag to the role by looking at, let's see. So when one PC is counting their power for the action, each helping PC may invoke one of their tags to help, providing +1 power per helpful tag. That's one way to help. The other way is the helping PC can take a preparatory action to assist the active PC. So they take the spotlight, like we talked about before, and they roll and create tags or statuses that might be able to help them.
I have my disguise kit, and it probably has some glues and gums and stuff in it.
So for her magic to work, she needs to basically get a clear, like visual image that she can recreate in her head of what the monolith should look like put back together. Which means we need to find all the loose pieces, figure out how they fit together, how they fit on the monolith, and give her a good look at it.
Well, I mean, we're not looking to restore the monolith to its entirety. I assume that this was damaged well before the hunter even arrived here. Wouldn't we just be
At
looking
least
to
so.
I'd like to roll to add a tag just because I have a bunch, or to create a tag or status. Let me think. Yeah, I guess a tag because I have a bunch that would apply, so it might be helpful just to have that as opposed to just putting one in.
Yeah, so then you would perform your own action in preparation. So now the action you're taking is helping her with the whole, because what she needs to do is cast a spell to help mend as you put pieces in place to mend it into place, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
How is being a hinterland tracker
as I was
applied?
saying, my disguise kit has all kinds of sticky things in it.
Sure. So you can add
And
disguise
so
kit.
we could use the disguise kit to put it back together, and then she would see it all.
All right. So I see you have a bunch of tags. I'm trying to figure out how they are. You could speculate what happened here for sure. Keen senses. But I don't see how hunting prey specifically would apply here. That would be a secondary kind of and then just being a tracker doesn't really apply to reassembling. So you got two there. We don't need supernatural beings getting in the way, and guided has to do with the stone you're holding that brought you to the monolith.
Okay.
So, and you are still wounded from being bludgeoned, and I think that should play a negative effect on you because you haven't really done anything about addressing that, and we don't think we're doing anything else. So there you go. You can roll that.
All right. I'm gonna have to burn something then because that puts me at okay.
Okay, so with a 9, you have a power 2, so you can create one tag and make it stick, like do something more lasting instead of a one-time use tag. Or you can create 2 power tags that will go away when she uses them. Or you can create oh no, 2 power tags just creates 1 tag. Then if you had 3 power, you would be able to make it stick. Otherwise, you can create a status of tier 2. So you can create 1 tag.
So I'd like to make a status. No, sorry, not a status. The exact opposite. I'd like to make a tag. That would be something like accumulated fragments. So Maya's is sort of like she probably gets down on her hands and knees and is like finding everything that she can sweep together and pull together into like a little accumulation of all the
Puzzle solver.
fragments and bits and pieces. And I would probably actually bring that to Chewbacca, because if we wanted to use the disguise kit as well, we have as much to work with as possible. So that would be the tag, accumulated fragments, I think.
Okay. All right. Kind of like you're doing the edge of the jigsaw puzzle before you start filling in the middle. So you're like, here, I think these 2 pieces fit together, and I think these 3 go together, like maybe like this, and right, that sort of thing,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's no gaps in it or anything.
Right. Okay. So this tag is pre-assembled pieces, something like that, except I didn't spell it right. Okay. Spell check would be nice. Okay. So you have some pre-assembled pieces that should show up on the scene block up at the top left, and you can tap that when you make your roll. Now, Chewbacca has a disguise kit that probably has some sticky stuff in it and whatnot, so he may be able to assist in kind of putting things together to help you
Yeah, give her.
also get a better picture.
Yeah.
If I burn my disguise kit, would that be helpful? I mean,
That's
we're gonna
is your
use that
disguise
stuff.
kit a tag?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't burn it for another player though. You can give them just a +1 power, I think, for the help action. Is there anything Marshall Jared can use or do? Anything that Maya can do to help also? Is there a tag that you feel is directly relevant to her getting the whole picture of the monolith so she can cast her spells successfully?
Could I do that again after I've already done my roll, or no?
Like with the same
Right, we
same
kind of
tags?
all the same stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be double dipping. So
Okay.
you can't do that on tags.
Yeah.
Because you're supporting an action, so it's all around that action.
Right.
The only thing I can come up with as a stretch was wasn't born yesterday, and that I've done puzzles with the misses. So maybe this would just be one giant puzzle to me.
The new tag, puzzles with the misses. Nope, but you can try to help with a roll with 0 power, and you'll get at least 1 power out of it.
You're saying just a quick outcome roll?
No, it would be it'd be a track roll because you're trying to get. But I'm thinking now, the only way you could win with that. So let me explain the scenario. It takes 2 power to create a tag. With 1 power, you can create a stats. So you could be like inspired 1. And a tag is a thing. So the assembled pieces is great because that's a tag, which is a thing. Now you could try to add a status of 1 of inspire and make a roll with 0 power. If you succeed on a 0 power roll, you always get at least 1 power. It's called the rule of 1. The rule of all
So
on
it'd be
a 7 or
a
higher.
tracked outcome.
Yeah.
No
Nope.
thing would apply, and I just execute the move and see if it works.
Yeah, unless there's some negative tags that you think would directly apply to your trying to just simply help her out.
Yep.
And inspire her with
You can try.
what you see as the whole thing. Is exactly enough so you have a power of 1. So you can give her a status.
Inspired.
Do
She'll have her moment of
status.
inspiration as she's doing the puzzle pieces.
Inspired. Okay. All right. So Asher, you have inspired 1. You have pre-assembled pieces. Go ahead and make your roll. Okay, we're going to turn that inspired around into a positive. I click it again, it turns yellow. Avoids attachments. What
Oh,
does that mean?
yeah. I figured I'd add that negative, since it's a bunch of everyone working together or whatever. She avoids attachments with people and everything, so they would be a barrier to her working well with the others.
I think requires concentration is a good negative too.
Yeah.
I can see how you can have that cause you a problem. Inspired 1 probably counters your, avoids attachments.
Yep.
So you are a seeker of the order. You're going to use your staff.
For the focusing her spell.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And
All right, roll.
I forgot the pre-assembled pieces.
I have a question. Back when we played through the demo, at the end of each session, we created a tag for like harming or helping another player. Did they remove that?
That was never in the rules. I added that myself because I liked it from City of Mist.
Oh, okay.
It's a way for you to reflect on your relationships. We haven't done that since our new characters. All right, so you've got some experience to your 2 themes, and you rolled an 8.
Yeah, not great.
No, it's just fine. It's just that it
Yeah.
has some consequences.
Yep.
So the consequence might be that I'm going to take away the pre-assembled pieces, but I can burn attack. Maybe I will do that. So I think did you use environmental tips for the order? All right, so I'm going to take away Seeker of the Order. This was a strain for you to try to see what was going on, and so I think that, well, no, that doesn't make sense. Hold on, I'm going to burn instead the Novice Astromancer.
Okay, yeah.
So because you're a novice, it was a lot for you to try to figure this out. You've only heard things, and you got really confused in your head. And
well, and this was probably more complicated than anything she's tried casting before and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So this has sent your mind into kind of a constant loop. When the spell snapped, your head did a little bit too. So it's going to be more difficult for you to focus and concentrate more on the next time you try to use your magic. So I'm taking that
Yeah.
away from you as a representation of that. Okay, so you can still cast magic, just you won't have that tag to use
Yeah.
until you sit down and go back through your notes somewhere about what got you all confused and paradoxic and whatnot. All right, so one thing that happens when you cast your spell is that the pieces do stay in place, and they kind of are sort of glued back in place. It's not perfect because there's dust and other things so it doesn't fit together like a puzzle piece, but it fits together pretty good. And as part of that, you also come to realize that some of the words you can make out, like they are familiar or something. So you can make out a few different things, like that stone that um, part of what it had written on it kind of seems to mean so shall I.
Hmm. She'll let the rest of the group. Well, she would not be shy about. You know, she would get excited as she starts reading it out and everything. She breaks out her notebook and starts writing it down.
Okay, so she begins to read. Oh, I'm recognizing some of these writings now that I've studied it so well. Pictured in my mind, it's similar to some of the ancient writings that I've studied. Not exact, but it's close. And so she pulls out these phrases.
How tall is Ashrin?
I mean, she's not that tall. She's probably like 5'2",
Okay.
5'3", somewhere in there.
Okay, so Maya's looking over her shoulder at like the words. Like, does any of this make sense to anyone? What fragments we have?
Maya, you're
She'll.
pointing. Ashrin is pointing to where she's reading things, and you're trying to follow along. And you're kind of whispering to yourself, repeating what she says. And Ashwin, she repeats something that you didn't say, but
Oh.
she's like whispering it the same way she repeated the other things you were saying. Like you're going, this says by root and ruin, and she goes by, right? She's kind of whispering a little bit as she repeats what you're saying while she's trying to figure out what the symbols mean to her because she doesn't really know this ancient writing and you recognizing parts of it. But then at one point she's like, breath and bone, as she's whispering to herself.
Does Ashton hear her say that?
Yeah, you're the one who heard it. Maya isn't even aware.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Maya,
okay.
Maya isn't even aware that she spoke it. She's just trying to
Uh,
mumble. She's mumbling along, trying to repeat while she's trying to figure out what they mean and that sort of thing. And then
right.
Ashwin would look over and realize she
And
just said something different.
Ashton would, double check herself, make sure she didn't like miss breath and bone anywhere where she was reading. But when she doesn't see it or whatever, she would uh, uh, look to Maya and say, "Breath and bone?
Do you see
Where
that
did
on
you
there?
see?" I don't see it.
Oh, but you just said it. It's not on one of the fragments?
Being the insecure youngster she is, she would triple check everything. No, I don't see it anywhere.
Hmm.
I'm
So why
keeping
did
a
you?
lookout to make sure nothing gets to drop on us while they're intently looking at this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good.
So why did you add it in then? If it's
Where do you see it?
I thought you saw it. Here, why don't you read out everything that you have?
Yeah, she'll go through it again, a little slowly this time, but read it all out and very like uh intentionally point to like each symbol.
So where did that last part come from? Breath and bone?
So when does Maya
Flip that in.
yeah.
While you're just recounting what you're finding here and there.
I think we're trying to see when in the sequence Maya added that.
Right.
It's not particularly in a sequence. You were just kind of
Oh.
looking over things, and you were whispering to yourself, kind of just rehearsing what Ashrin had already said.
Just kind of on repeat, but in between
Yeah,
stuff.
it's kind of like saying, "I'm looking for a yellow piece that has a white line in it. It's your yellow piece of the white line. Yellow piece of the white line. Let's see. Okay, well, there's a
Okay,
yellow piece
got
of
it.
the white line.
Got it.
And then, oh yeah, and I'm looking for a blue one with a white big dot on it. A blue with a white dot. Let's see. Right, while you're looking around, you're trying. So think of it like that. If you're assembling a puzzle, you may whisper to yourself what other people are asking for while you're looking, so you remind yourself what it is you're looking for. So you're looking for things, and you find that while you said those things, breath and bone just kind of happened somewhere. Like breath and bone. Let's see, breath and bone, breath and bone.
Okay, so as Ashrin was reading out stuff, something kind of like jogged or unlocked a
Maybe.
fragment of a memory or something.
Sure, or
Uh,
maybe someone like because she responded the same way as if someone had told her that, like had said it out loud, and she's repeating
mm,
it again. Like she's not really paying attention to the audio source,
right. Yeah.
right?
Right. Obviously someone else said it first, not her.
Exactly. That's the way it seems, for sure.
Okay.
Uh, yeah. I guess Ashrin will ask, where have you heard? Who told you that part?
Well, I just heard it just now. I'm sure I was certain that you had added that as part of the sequence, but you don't have it written down.
Uh, is that the last of the symbols that I can read?
Yep.
She'll pull out the you know few papers or whatever she had gotten from the tent and see if any of the fake uh, chants or whatever that they had written on them, if any of those match up to some of this stuff.
Say that again.
As part of the play or whatever in his notes,
Hmm.
um,
Nothing matches anything he
nothing
said.
matches. Okay.
And at this point, we put in everything we can, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you've been able to find as much as you can find. It does look like places on this monolith repeat some of the patterns of this writing. Like you can find by soil and storm, like maybe in a couple of places, but other parts of it are worn out. So you can find that different fragments of that phrase are here, but then this part's kind of not eligible. What's it called? Where you can
Legible.
read it or not? Legible. Thank you. Eligible. They're not eligible to be words. Sorry. So yeah, they're not. But then you find other place, like fate, but the rest of it is, not readable,
Right.
etc.
Yeah.
So it looks like this monolith is covered with this phrase multiple times. Perhaps not completely, not all over the place, but it is found in multiple places on this monolith.
Ashton will ask Maya to try to remember, uh, uh, or see if she can remember uh, more missing pieces of this phrase.
She's just gonna start trying to sound out, like repeat back what she's heard, which by root and ruin, fate my life, by soil and storm, breath and bone. I think that's it. So do we know if it's working again?
What working?
Yeah.
She was
Ashton
asking.
says,
Yeah, Ashton knows if the monolith's working.
says, well, I don't know what it's supposed to do beforehand.
True enough. We don't know if this thing's operational, sleeping. Maybe
All,
we don't
all I
want to
did was
wake it.
fix the stone.
Yeah. We just
Ashton, you also feel as you are no longer in the fragment, that your guided has faded away too.
Right. Yeah.
Could I try to link with it again?
Sure. You want to?
Sure, I would like to try. Maya would like to put her
dear.
right hand directly on the monolith, and then
Okay.
try to
We
do
are
her
going.
thing.
Great. All right. So let me move to page 4 of my notes. Hold on.
hold
You
on.
are going to.
I'm stepping back. It's about right there.
Okay. All right.
I've seen a few things, and that's not one of them.
Okay. Maya, you touch the monolith again.
Yes.
You awaken in the Witchwood,
Oh, okay.
but it is older, wilder than you've ever known. The trees tower impossibly high. The stars do not shine. Your birthmark glows, casting a silver light on a gnarled path ahead. The ground beneath your feet pulses like a living heartbeat. Ahead stands a twisted tree bearing 3 hanging masks. The first looks like some kind of a beast. The second, a plain mask that reminds you of something a seer might wear. And the third is another mask that has, it's painted in such a way that it looks inverse, so that it's like the opposite, right? You know how if you look at a concave mask, you can see that, but this looks like the outside looks like you're looking kind of, it's just painted in such a way that makes it look difficult to tell whether you're looking at it from behind or from in front. It carries shadows in strange ways.
Are these are the masks part of the tree, or are they just sort of hanging in the tree?
They're hanging from it.
Okay.
And now you hear a chorus of whispers rising from the bark of the tree, urging you to choose one and step forward.
She is very disoriented, so she's all of this is a great deal more trepidatious than normally it would be with her. But she'll hear the whispers, she'll listen to the voices, and slowly come closer. Um, and then I think she'll reach up and she'll take the second mask, the seer one.
Okay. Yep. Each, as before you reach out, you also hear each mask brings forth an opponent, an embodiment of the path not taken. Meanwhile, um, you're standing there as Maya leans forward to touch. She kind of closes her eyes in concentration as she reaches out and touches the monolith, trying to kind of tune back into that piece that she used before. The monolith suddenly flares. All of the writing flares in kind of a bright yellow and fades to orange and settles on kind of a very dim mossy green, but definitely lit up as she leans her head against the monolith. Maya, what mask do you choose, or do you not choose any?
I think she's gonna take the seer mask. It's the
Okay.
plainest one.
Still going with the seer. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. I tried.
Final answer.
Uh-oh, that
Right.
makes it sound like I picked wrong.
I do that on purpose. I do it all the time.
Okay.
My players all get used to that nonsense.
Do I
The
need to roll with any
shenanigans.
character?
No. Well, gosh, I should create random tables of words so that you can plug them in and they become your new tags. That would be awesome. All right. Um,
Where
a
did
pale
she go?
figure. She didn't go anywhere. She's just touching
She's
the
still
monolith.
there. She just
Yeah.
set the monolith off, and I just shake my head. Damn impetuousness of youth. That's all you hear me say under my breath.
Jared with 1 foot in the water, waiting to jump back across to the other side.
Yeah.
That's gonna
A-
have a cost. I can
Astron's
tell you here and now.
just writing furiously in her notebook.
And you don't see anything happen. Your time right now. We're just holding there for a second. Maya, there is a pale figure that steps out from behind the other side of this large gnarled tree. And speaks to you in riddles or something weird, like the non sequiturs and just, just strange things, but is communicate like, Shaka and the walls fell. Whatever the
Oh
hell
yeah.
that means, right? Okay. So they're speaking to you in weird kind of similes. I am as he speaks to you, he is becoming very confused. You feel yourself getting kind of lost in what he's saying. What do you do?
She's just gonna keep politely asking him to repeat. Please say that again.
Okay. He says it again, and you are feeling yourself falling into confusion in your head.
Uh,
I'm going to apply a confusion or a mental strain status on you. I want you to mitigate that.
hmm. I don't suppose a fellowship tag would apply.
Maybe.
All right, let's try this out.
Depends. I'm looking for things that are the fellowship weakness.
I thought that
How
was
would
the.
you like?
I thought that was the one we added.
Uh, Unpredictable would be a. Let me look, because I don't know. Now you have me guessing.
Sorry.
Inexperienced team. Or where did unpredictable come from?
That's the mark weakness tag.
Oh, gotcha. That's why it's coming. Okay, Mark of the Witchwood and watch each other's backs. There's no one there to watch your back, so I would not allow that.
Not moral support. Okay.
And there's nobody around you. It's you and the
Mhm.
pale and the pale man,
Okay.
the pale Riddler. Anything else?
I don't. I'm not sure anything else would come into it. Unless.
Okay, I think your unpredictable tag is really related to using your magic, trying to use your logic to stay on track and not get thrown by these weird things he's speaking at you.
Hmm.
So your mark may help center you. I could see that. Like it may begin to glow and help you to focus. But what else? Anything else on your sheet?
Unless gregarious would apply.
Mm, no, but I think Greg went on vacation.
Damn it,
So
Greg.
yeah. Now you could maybe um, maybe use keen senses.
Sure.
So I think that would sounds like it could apply. So you have keen senses, Mark of the Witchwood. All right. I think that's all. Okay. All right. So with that, that's a 9. I'm going to that's 2 power that you could mitigate. So you have mental strain 1. Go ahead and
All right.
add that status to your sheet. Um, you begin to see twisted glimpses of futures that might be. Tell me what one of those looks like.
Hmm.
Give me a future like without the mark. What would you be doing if you didn't have the mark?
I think. Um. I can imagine. Saying she would stay with the party as long as possible, but I'm imagining, say, maybe after the miasm or sort of the other mysteries of the Dales are put to rest or good, actually traveling further with Ashran because she still wants to sort of see as much of the world as possible, and Ashran is sort of on a quest for knowledge, not confined, as I understand it, just to the Dales. So I can see them sort of furthering, possibly sort of on their own exploration.
Okay, so let's say you see a future with you and Ashran, and Ashran is a powerful star wizard or whatever they're called.
Astromancer.
And yeah, Astromancer. And you are, you can use a bow. Do you feel like without your mark, you would be a better person or a lesser person?
Definitely a lesser person.
Okay. So that's what this vision is you as some kind of a lesser person. You're playing the role now of not some great, and powerful magical being, but instead you're like a guard, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're a grog now in service of the great wizard, right? So with this, you feel with this vision and others, we just defined one
Right.
possible future or some, um, and likewise, there may be great visions of you without your mark, of you being royalty or something like that. Like you, without this holding you back, this mark, you became something so much better. So you're feeling very confused by all of these possible futures that you feel your identity begin to slip a little. What do you do? Like,
Think,
who am I?
yeah, she's gonna try to like close her eyes and like focus on trying to remember as much of the present as possible and like who she is now, not what she could be. She's just gonna sort of like try to focus and block out. She's closing her eyes to try to block out the images. And obviously, they're not physical, but
Right.
sort of like hone her focus.
Okay. As you are now, what you once were, what you will be, is what you are not now. Or, it's a weird, riddly crap like that I can't come up off the top of my head. So he's talking in these kinds of weird, nonsensical kinds of things that are
Would this
you,
also be a mitigate?
and yeah, unless you're going to try to create a tag that you then can use to help mitigate, right? So it could be a preparatory action where I'm closing my eyes, I'm focusing, I'm using my, I'm kind of focusing on the mark, grounded. I want to be in here and now. I'm not worried about the future. I'm not looking anymore at his visions. So using those kind of things to create tags of grounded, a status of grounded whatever or something like that, right? So you that sounds more like what you're trying to do, and then we'll do a mitigate, right?
Okay. Hmm.
So one of the things I'm trying to focus on, as per my post in the Discord during this session, is to focus on relevant tags instead of just I'm going to click everything I can and come up with some kind of wild way to make it fit. We're going to look for relevant tags and live with those. And if we have other tags that aren't relevant that may be useful, we'll do a preparatory action to create actual relevant tags. Okay, so as you're gripping your longbow, I mean, how are you grounding? I mean, so another thing we're going to do is try to see the action in the narrative in your head. What is it you're doing, and what was the outcome of doing that you're looking for?
She would like to jab herself in the arm with an arrow to try to focus on the pain.
Okay. All right. And hunt prey, I don't see that being uh, relevant to grounding yourself.
Just okay.
You got anything else?
Ways to nowhere.
Come on. Come on, Maya. This is a different action. You could use keen senses. It just means you can't use keen senses to mitigate if you're using it in prep. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm trying to do the prep to like basically give her like the. I'm trying to create a status of like being in pain and like having to just jabbed a hole in her arm to like try to focus back on reality. So that's sort of the preparatory action.
All right, but what you're trying the crap coming in, right? So
Right.
if we work on focused on reality, you could create yourself some pain. So you can have the longbow for that. Hunt prey doesn't make sense, but maybe you can
Hey,
chant. Maybe you can chant something like kindling the old magic or something like that. Pathways to nowhere. I'm not going all of those other places. I'm going here. So you're using the mark to also create this sense of grounding, right?
Okay.
why not get out of trouble?
That's generally related to talking her way out of things. I'm not sure if that because right now it's this is very non like she's focusing within, not really like talking. She's not trying to convince the creature to let her go.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Maybe if she's goes on the offensive with this thing instead of, you know, right now she's reacting. So I think that's a good point. All right. So did you add good? And then I'm going to put in this action, I'm putting your mental strain at work against you.
Okay.
No hunt prey. Longbow will say you're cutting yourself on an arrow or that kind of thing. You're going to use some mantras or something like that. Okay, go for it. Roll that. Uh-oh. All right, with a 6, you suffer consequences, which means you don't block anything and you don't get to mitigate. You're going to take, you actually just reel. You're trying to, trying so hard to ground yourself and you're just getting lost in it and confused. So I'm going to go ahead and raise your mental strain. Where is that?
I burned it when I used it. I think because I entered it in incorrectly. I made it
Oh.
burnable somehow.
Oh, yeah, you made it temporary. Yep. Okay, so
Could we help
you
her
had what,
by
mental?
pushing her over?
There's nothing going on. What are you talking about? She just barely touched the monolith. That's all that's going on.
Oh, how long has she been in this state?
Half a
Like,
second.
does she? Oh, okay. Never mind.
Mentally strained. And what was it? 2? It was 2?
It started at 1. It was at 1.
Okay. So it is, all right, I'll give you 1. And then I'm going to see what happens if I plus that. And I give you a 3. Perfect. It did it just right. So it's crossed in the bubbles of 1 and 3 and left the 2 open so we can still fill that in later. All right. So you are now mentally strained 3. You are feeling yourself just starting to give way to all this madness coming from this pale seer.
What happens if I put the mask on?
Okay. You put the mask on. You gain a tag I will give to you temporarily. And where is it? Tag. And this tag is insightful. Okay. All right. It it begins to show you your past, and kind of like the Christmas Carol, you start to see visions of what the past could have been if you made just different choices. Maybe the past would have been better. Maybe the past would have been worse. Maybe the past would have been the end. You wouldn't have made it to now. And like, so in one past, you find yourself dying on the ground. Another past, you find yourself sick, and turns out that you end up with a bad leg because of it, right? And you have a hard time, et cetera, et cetera. So you see all these, suddenly this barrage of different visions of the past, and with each vision seems to come a new riddle or cryptic saying. Again, you feel like you could possibly have been a completely different person, and the person you are now is just nothing. Um, and that you could become one of those people. Maybe you could, maybe you will, even in this moment. So the your mind is reeling, and you are starting to feel like you're going a little nuts, perhaps, or maybe you're just becoming who you were supposed to be.
Oh
Again,
man.
your mind is being challenged. More strain coming in as you try to keep hold of yourself. You feel as if reality is collapsing around you. What do you do?
Can I kind of lash out with my mark at the pale seer?
Yeah, that's going to be your reaction for sure. So you have more mental strain coming your way if you take consequences. I'm excited to hear you narrate this.
Oh boy.
Tell me what's going to happen. Tell me what does Maya do? And we're going to work these. You have a mark, you're kindling old magic, you're using insightful, but your magic is very unpredictable. Tell me, just narrate for me how she is using her magic and what the hopeful outcome will be.
How close is the seer to the tree, the twisted tree?
You can maneuver, etc. Let's just say, will it matter? If so, then say, as I lure this seer closer, I move around the tree so he comes closer or whatever. So you can certainly narrate all that stuff. Go ahead.
Okay. So he's going to try to maneuver the seer so that he is backed up as close to the tree as possible, and then she's going to sort of like reach out and try to call to the tree and have it snare the seer and pull him into it,
Okay.
like merge with the tree.
All right. So you're going to, oh, you did mitigate again. That's fine. So with a 9, you succeed. You have a power of 1. So you may apply 1 tier of status to him. What would that be, like tree bound?
Yes, I like that tree bound.
Okay. All right. I'm just going to put that up here as a scene status, just so I can keep track of it. Okay. All right. So you've managed to get him stuck to the bark, let's say, of the tree. He's kind of almost like glued to the bark, as like trying to absorb him. Okay.
Okay.
Which is kind of cool. However, you are going to take mental strain 3. And so what that will do is I hit mentally strained 3 again. It should give you mentally strained 4, which it did.
Guy.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Does she physically look tired and exhausted and weak and soft out here?
Yeah, are we
I'm
starting to
sorry.
see a physical
Oh,
manifestation of this
yeah.
strain on her actual body?
No, she just barely touched it,
Okay.
and it just lit up. You're more impressed the fact that it went whoosh and then faded down to this mossy green. But that's all the time that has passed.
Okay.
All right, Maya. Um, he doesn't even seem to struggle against the tree, because he's still talking, and his whispers are coming out as strange riddles that make you question who you are. One more incoming attack, you can mitigate it, or you can choose to do something else with him. What is that?
Can I turn and run?
Yeah, that would be your mitigation.
Okay.
So yeah, so if you are successful in your mitigation, then you have successfully run away.
Okay.
Not going to use your mentally strained against you to mitigate incoming mental strain.
Okay.
But when it comes to running, I will use your bludgeon status. You're
That
still
makes
very
sense.
bruised and sore.
Okay.
So I think insightful is good, maybe to help you pick your path to run, pathway to nowhere. Sounds like it would just work against you. You're not really tracking anyone though, so I'm going to take that one off.
Ah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Go with that, my son. Nice. All right.
Ooh.
With a 10, you don't get, you have to remember to switch your move to tracked outcome.
Oh crap.
That's fine. So mitigate consequences, same thing. It's you have a power of 2 to mitigate with, but in this case, you you can mitigate with a power of 3, and that would still work. By whenever you roll 10 or higher, you can choose to take a consequence um, and get 1 extra power in your roll. And so spending 2 would lower it to mentally strained 1. Spending 3 would lower it to no status. Mentally strained 1 would bubble up to 2. So you'd have a full track 1, 2, 3, and 4. One more attack that gets through on him would take you out, right? That put you at 5.
In that case, I will take another type of consequence to
Yes,
boost
you will.
to 3. Yeah.
Yep, you're gonna boost your bruised up, right? Because
Yeah.
you ran so hard and fast that you hit your head on a tree branch or something like that, right? So you're bruised up another level. So the way you do that is actually you'll take bruised 1, right? So
Oh.
when you are bludgeoned 1, so was it 2
It was 2,
before?
yes.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I think, how do I edit that? We go down 1, subtract 1, and so now you're at 2. Yeah, so that filled in that first bubble. You were at bludgeon 2, so guess what? You're still at bludgeon 2 because we filled in that one below.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
Okay. How they stack is I'm still a little fuzzy on.
Well, it's a little bit more confusing. It's actually simpler this way than it is in City of Mist where you have little sub bubbles basically. If you take a 2 and you take another 2, it becomes a 3, but if you take a 1, it becomes 2.1. So it's, and then at 2.2 it becomes 3, right? So at 3 you have 3.1, 3.2, and then 3 before it becomes 4, and at 4 you have 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, 4.4, and then it becomes 5. So it's a weird, it's a tough, it's a different. I think they've streamlined it by just doing it this way. Makes it a bit easier. Okay. So let me look here. All right. So you are bludgeoned a little bit more by a tree as you try to get away, and what you hear is by soil and storm, by root and ruin, you have failed. All right, so Maya touched the monolith. It lit up like a Christmas tree that had only one color of light, and then went to a green. And then she falls back onto her butt and shakes her head. And the rest of you are like, what? That was weird. What do you do?
How long was I gone?
The others will, someone will go about a second. Did you go somewhere?
Yeah, you were gone.
I don't think anyone else should touch the stone.
Yes, that's a good idea. No one touch it, please. And I didn't go anywhere?
Not that we saw.
So this begs the question. Somebody's got to ask it.
Where did you go?
Bing.
I was in the Witchwood just now. And I saw things there, and she did not bring the mask with her, I'm guessing.
That you don't have a mask. What mask?
Womp womp.
You had it on your face.
Right.
You were running with it.
Yeah.
So you touch your face. She reaches up to touch your face like something was there, maybe even with both hands like this, to take the mask off, but there's no mask there.
You okay?
I saw things there. I don't let's what are we finished here?
Ashton says, but it just got exciting.
A little too exciting.
The thing
Yeah,
lit
she
up.
moved.
Maya, something you heard just before you left sounds familiar.
The you have failed part?
Yeah, yeah, you've heard that your whole life. No, no, I'm talking about right before that.
Oh. Wait, what was right before that? I thought that was the last thing that you heard.
You did. There was, but it was part of a longer phrase. You heard by soil and storm, by root and ruin, you have failed.
All right, she'll repeat that back. By soil and storm, by root and ruin. It must mean something. If we know enough to fix this device.
So Ashrin, those phrases are part of things that you've read off of the monolith.
Yeah. So she got, well, so it combined a couple of them, but added something to the end.
Well, she doesn't want to mention the "you have failed" part.
Oh, you don't say that?
No.
That's just more confusing.
Well, if without the second part of that, the first part combines a couple of phrases that you've been able to pick off a little bit.
But what purpose does that monolith serve?
I'm guessing it has some connection to the Witchwood, because that's right where I went as soon as I touched it. But I don't think it's working properly, or if it is, well, let's not travel. I don't think it's safe to use. I don't know what else we can discover here.
Where's this Witchwood?
It's beyond the northern edge of the Dales. I have a connection to it through my maternal line. I didn't think it was quite this strong though until we got here. I don't know. Now that this stone is returned, maybe there's no more risk.
I hope that's the case. That was the main reason for coming in here, to find out what was happening. And so we found our traveling group of bandits and something more. I take it, I ask, Ashran, you didn't see, or Chewbacca, you didn't see the thing we saw, the tall owl-like creature, humanoid, 2 legs. I describe it. Did they run into it in their travels?
No, but we saw a guy with a bone mask. Did we recognize? We know the guy that was had the
Oh
mask
yeah,
up, right?
no, I recognize as soon as they say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the leader. We sent them off packing, but there was something legitimately in the woods that scared them off even more than we did.
But we didn't see it.
More importantly, did all of the other people take a mask?
No. There were quite a few of them. I don't know, maybe what? How many did we count off last time? At least more than half a dozen? Half a dozen?
Yeah, I think it was just about half a dozen. But one of them was crushed.
Yeah, very weird angle. I wanted to actually talk to them about a business prospect, but they split town. Next thing I heard them since then. Maybe they're in the woods, maybe they left. From the sounds of you, it sounds like they left.
They were terrified. That stands to reason.
Well, if you saw what we saw, you'd be a little uneased too. There's something here. I mean, it could definitely be attested to, but what exactly? I don't see all the links yet. A monolith, a creature.
She'll mention, Ashton will mention that the leader ran off with a couple books.
A creature that looks just like that one. I point.
There's some whispering that you just hear.
Yeah,
Charlatan.
make them all turn around, just like that one.
He whisper. There's some whispering that echoes through the area, through this sunken sanctum. It's loud and susurrous, right? Charlatan. As he says, you just hear the whispering words charlatan echoing all around in whispers.
Ashton seeks the protection of her comrades.
Ooh.
Yes.
You hear whispering again in off cadence, as if there were a chorus of different people saying the same thing, not exactly together. You have walked many paths, but none that truly know you.
And we're all hearing this, right? So it could be any
Everybody
one of
hears it.
us.
It's
None
coming
of us.
from, as we're coming from all different places throughout the sanctum.
And
I don't know Jared's
so
history, but the rest of us certainly.
I'm looking at that giant bipedal creature. It's not making any overtures, or is it? It is looking menacing, right? It's just over there watching us, like it did last time.
Oh,
Seems to be being fairly heavy. Almost like it had to climb a long flight of stairs to get up here to talk to you. But it does have one arm, say, against that pillar that it's next to, right? Almost as if it were supporting itself
Supporting itself.
a little bit, or maybe it's keeping the pillar from falling on you until he pushes it that direction. Whispering again from all angles, you hear, "Will you shape the world or merely survive within it?"
It's expecting a response. If I had my choice, I'd shape it. Plain, dead, just like that.
Ashern will ask it in a bit of a shaky voice. Who's the charlatan?
The oath, the whispers come again. The oath remembers more than you do.
Is the monolith repaired? Is it safe now?
Whispers again echo throughout the whole chamber. The monolith does not call the worthy, it calls the willing. The penitent man will pass. No, I'm just kidding.
I was about ready to say, okay.
If you build it, they will come. No. And then again, to bind yourself is to become more than one life. It is to echo through the roots of all things.
It has been
Is there
made.
anything more we can? Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, no. You do that because mine's a wrapping statement.
Okay. She's gonna ask, is there anything more we can do to make this place safe?
The land remembers its stewards, even if they have forgotten themselves.
I'm going to look at it and say, now that we have restored what was broken and it is whole, are things as they were? Are we good? And I point between myself and him. Or it.
The oath is not a gift. It is a weight, and it seeks shoulders that will not break.
Okay. I will take that as.
Can you give us a gist of that? Are we
Yeah,
talking?
I'm feeling good about this moment right now. I don't know why. It wasn't bad. I'll take that as good. So, unless you three have more to inquire about, I really don't want to hang around here much longer.
Ashton has changed her mind and is certainly eager to leave if everyone else wants to.
Yeah, Maya's ready to. She's ready to go.
Whispers echo once more. Say no, and the world will forget you.
I'm just curious about the oath. What if it is kill all humans?
Say yes, and it may never let you go.
There's a lot of humans.
Oh, there's a part of me that just wants to say, what about maybe?
How about
All right.
I'll try?
Well, from one oath keeper to another, I will try to keep people out of these woods so that they do not inflict any more harm on this area. I bow respectfully to it, and I will take my leave. You guys want to hang around? You're welcome to.
Nope. Maya's gonna follow
I make
Jared's
sure
lead.
they head out first. I leave last.
The land remembers its stewards. even if they have forgotten themselves.
Is there any chance that that guy was another human who had pulled an owl mask off the wall?
Wait, you're asking if this person is all dolled up like those other people?
Yes.
No. No. I can tell
Okay.
you this is the
Well,
real
I
deal.
didn't really see him much, so.
Oh, no. This one's... This one is the real deal. Maya, you want to scoot out?
Oh, of course, yes.
I won't necessarily turn my back to it. I'll just kind of sidestep my way down. Move it back.
The Watcher, you see him as you all are starting to leave. Jared, you're watching as the others have gone ahead of you. you you see him breathe out and just stay sagged. He just kind of he lowers his head and he says, the whispers just sussate again throughout the chamber as you guys leave. It calls the willing. And then he turns, and as he turns, it's as if he were um, like a Native American chalk, like those dust paintings that they draw the dust on, then just a big wind blows, and he literally just blows away like particles, just like just all the pieces of him just flow away in the wind. Gone. All right. Meanwhile, you guys begin to climb your way up and out of this sunken place.
Yeah.
And pull yourself up into the glade. And now what?
Take me to their bandit shanty. I want to see if I find any proof of who they are.
Yeah, I'm sure Ashrin can remember the way.
She has to take you basically, and then of course Maya can track and follow the tracks that you guys took to get here. And so between the two of you, you go back, and Chewbacca can point out things are here as part of it. You go back to the scene of the fight that you had, and then a different direction beyond the stump that the Howling Maw's leader stood atop of, the Oath Keeper, and you make it back to the camp.
Awesome. I was
And
going to come here anyway.
yep, so here you are. What did you want to do?
I want to
Once
search
we've-
through all
yeah.
of those people's stuff and look for supplies for my disguise kit.
Okay, that sounds good. So you certainly should be able to do that because they do have some bits of makeup and stage costumery. So go ahead and you may unburn your disguise kit tag.
Alrighty. Thank you.
I figure a troop like that doesn't just necessarily up and vanish if they leave any indication of who they were or who they are, like from prior performances or other, other parchment papers or posters with, they're in town one time only. I'll know
Right.
who they are.
Yep. So as you look through this camp, you don't find anything else of particular use, just more, I would say, the kinds of things you'll find here would be normal camping supplies, uh, foods, signs of them having spent time here. Um, you would find supplies for theater or theatrical roadshow kinds of things. Um, it looks like that there were 2 wagons here at one point, and the only thing that's left is just some supplies that were perhaps from the second wagon. There are 2 track wagons that lead kind of the same direction out of the glade. So it looks like when somebody fled, and actually Maya would be able to tell you that one wagon had nothing in it, and the other wagon had some supplies, etc., and took off in a hurry. The other wagon was just rolled. No. The horse that was there. So yeah, just everything appears to lead you to believe that the attack on the traveler was one of the wagons, and that
Staged.
others fled in the other wagon.
Right, the staged wagon. So
Mhm.
nobody even died,
Right.
except for poor Corbin, who legitly died. How a wicked web we weave. Okay. No, so I don't find any poster there or anything saying what the troop might have named be what
No.
they've done before. Okay.
Apparently, the leader
Okay.
who came and grabbed his stuff and took off probably grabbed anything of real value.
Well, we know he grabbed some books.
And a backpack.
Yeah. Yeah. You did say that it had some papers that fell out. Did any of them contain any sort of marker or indication as who they are?
No identifying stuff except references to the director and then pieces, body parts of the Hollow Maw, as the director was fond of referring to his crew. You're the mouth, you're the arm, you're the leg, and you're the backside. And so he would refer to them like that. So you may catch little scraps of notes here and there, whether it be in the actual body parts' tent, different tents, or in the director's tent. You kind of piece together the idea that these are traveling bandits
Mm-hmm.
who have a background in theater, and or at least some of them. And the director has had grand designs that more money was to be made, um, especially after being cheated so many times by place venues where they played, and they didn't make the money, and the people had whatever they were throwing tomatoes and nonsense like this. You may piece together information.
They
From
just
other
didn't
things.
expect the horror story to be a horror story.
Yeah. So what they have done is they have taken to traveling, learning some of the local scary legends, and then perpetrating theatrical
Hoaxes.
representations of those legends to scare the townsfolk into giving up items of value or pure money to avoid the wrath of what the townspeople thought were just stories. They told their, oh my gosh, those stories are real and we've awakened it. So they succeed well in the dales where people tend to be superstitious and talk of such things. And and so they've gone from place to place here and there to dig up these legends and play out these scary stories to make money, and then they leave. They have no intention of actually killing anyone or hurting anyone. They just want to squeeze the money out of them. But The bandit side of them, in a pinch, they might be willing to do some violence to get their way, especially if they're challenged by the local crew. So,
Well,
but they would just stage break-ins. They would paint symbols on the walls. They would stage an attack to make it look like this thing meant business, and so forth. So, but
well,
apparently, when the real Oathkeeper, the Watcher, showed up, not appreciating the really bad representation, that scared the crap out of them, and they left.
I don't sound like that. Fling.
Everybody's a critic.
That's right.
Well, mystery solved. Well done.
Very good. So as you head back to town, to your estate, we will close with an end of credit scene, and let's go over your characters and talk about what you can do with your characters at the end of the session. So one of the things that we can do with our characters at the end of the session is um, decide on a experience point to give to one of your themes. By the way, Maya, you have improved your trait theme. You've gotten 3 experience in that, so it doesn't show any experience on it right now because you see where it says experience +1. So you can add a new tag or a theme improvement of some sort. So probably a tag to get yourself just rolling with your improvements, but you can also choose to add an experience point to one of your other themes that you feel like played an important role in this session.
Okay.
Okay. So now you can add another tag to both skill or trade and trait. Jared, you're up. Which one would you like to add? You can keep
Sorry,
your
I was just
sheet
getting
locked,
rid of
by
the
the
old
way.
stone
Oh,
fragment.
gotcha. Yep.
Clean up there. Okay. I would like to say the okay. I'm kind of torn between. I think I'm handling court matters better. Like I'm able to be more diplomatic and engage things without, having the scenario go sour. So when I was talking to that creature, I was diplomatic. So I'm learning to measure my words in
Okay.
a courtly manner, and I think I'm going to go for that one.
All right. Ashwin, you're up.
I don't think she made any milestones or anything like that for any of her
Yep.
things.
But this would be like, which theme do you think was maybe something that garnered the most attention? And then just add an experience on the back of that card.
Okay. I think this definitely was a session where she had to uh, employ more of her skills as a seeker of the order.
Yep. Parts unknown. Okay. So then Chewbacca, last but not least, where do you feel like one of your themes, and it may be that none of them, like anytime I ask a question, the answer is not ever, it has to be, yes to something. It can be, yeah, this session, no. But for you, sir, which of your themes do you think stood out the most for your character for this session?
Uh,
Was it the use of the disguise kit? I think that came up a lot. That would be something that comes to my mind. And then you went back and replenished it, so forth. But it could be anything. Maybe there was some compassion. Maybe
I
I don't know.
didn't
Up to
really
you.
use anything from compassion or need a home. I used my mercenary fighter a couple of times to fail to look for weapons. I'm gonna go
Yep.
with Elias the Shadow Pest.
All right. So you can mark an experience for that. Now, just summing up, were there any milestones hit for any of your quests with the wrapping of this adventure?
I think probably Mark of the Witchwood.
Okay. What was your milestone that you hit there?
I think going into the monolith and encountering the seer. I mean, there's still a lot that she doesn't understand, but I think she is seeing that there's this connection between the Witchwood and the broader world, and that there's something related to protection and stewardship, um, and magic masks, apparently.
Just be glad there weren't magic mics.
I think there
Okay.
is one for the fellowship,
So,
though. We are still exploring the Dales, and we're getting to know the Dales
mhm.
way better than a lot of other folks.
Okay. So I think you could mark that too. Sure, absolutely. All right. So, Jared, did you hit any milestones on your sheet?
Let's see. I do not think so. But take a look.
Okay. Yep.
Nope.
And then
Negative.
you said no on the milestones, Maya, right already?
Well,
Or
I
was
did
that
one for
Ashern?
I did one
It
for
was-
Mark of the Witchwood.
yeah,
Oh, right. Okay.
Asher, and
Well,
yeah, she didn't hit any
let
milestones.
me make sure I am separating experience from milestones. Milestones have to do with accomplishing your quest. When you feel like you've made a significant progress in accomplishing one of your quests, you can mark a milestone for that. The other one is just experience. This just comes with theme improvements that let you add more tags or theme improvements to your themes. And they usually come when you use a weakness tag from that theme. But at the end of the session, you get to pick a theme. If you think one of those themes deserves another point of experience, you can give it the point of experience. So that's what we're doing right now.
Can I remove the haunted one, since I know that they were fake and I
Yeah.
actually do know what was real?
Yep. Yeah, you can. And so you can remove any tags or statuses. We'll begin again next week with some new adventure. So you can begin with no statuses or tags that have been added to you.
Ooh.
Okay. Then, so the difference between experience and milestones is milestones lead to evolving your theme into an adventure theme or changing themes entirely, which would be more like decay. So I don't know what the word they're using is for when you either go down in experience to back to like from an adventure down to an origin, or you replace your origin theme with a different origin theme because maybe that one isn't important to your character anymore. We call that decay on the character sheet. I'm not sure the terminology in this iteration of the playtest rules, but those are different. Experience and decay are different. Experience improves your theme, and decay chips away at it until maybe it just goes away. Okay. And then you replace it with a different theme. Like, for example, you've completely turned away from your assassin ways, right? And you replace the past theme. That's no longer important to you. You're all about the future. And maybe you replace that with a new theme that has to do with a particular item that you've acquired that leads you in a new direction, for example. Then you would put a new theme in place with that, a possession theme, and go from there, right? So you could decay a theme and replace it with one of the same level that's different, or you can hit your milestones and evolve your theme into the next level of theme, so the adventure bracket of themes. So that's one thing. The other thing is just experience or not. So does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
So my first round of questions was about experience. Second round about any milestones that you hit that you want to add in on your sheet. And so after discussing those things, is there anything else? The fellowship theme. Does it need an
Yes, we
experience?
did add one
And you
for
added
it
an
for
experience or
exploring the Dales.
okay, milestone for exploring the Dales. Good. Okay. Very good. Then I think we're good for tonight. Any questions before we call it a night? No?
Nope.
Very good. So thanks everyone for joining us. We've had 10 views tonight, and we're excited about people who join us live. Even if it's for a few minutes, we appreciate you coming. And please tell the people about the game. This game isn't even published yet, and we're just foraging like blind